All right, welcome to First Impressions, our unboxing ad tech video series. I love these conversations just because we get to really kind of dive in and have some real conversations about whether it be a technology, a service, or something that's kind of going on. And especially as we head into a new year, I'm looking forward to getting some ideas of some things that will, address in the new year, things that we can do and build upon and so forth. And so I'm really excited about this conversation I'm going to have with Halton and Reggie. Reggie, why don't you tell us who you are and who you do it for?
Yes, sure. Thank you for having me. Reggie Hudson from the Arena Group. I am on the ad operations team and work with an amazing group of people that oversee about 200 sites now, um, dealing with everything from their direct campaigns, programmatic, yield analysis, anything that ultimately falls under ad operations.
Fantastic. All right, Halton, who are you? Who do you do it for? What do you do and who do you do it for?
Thanks, Rob. So my name's Halton Bagley. I'm a product manager for DoubleVerify's Publisher Suite. So focusing primarily on our quality products and DoubleVerify's quality offerings. So um, fraud, brand suitability, contextual, and viewability KPIs that we can optimize for our advertisers and publishing partners.
Awesome. Well, I have to say that Double Verify is one of our first companies we worked with on First Impressions. That was actually 2 years ago, and we've kind of evolved. And I've watched the publisher suite kind of grow and evolve over that particular time. I'm kind of curious. Can you talk to us about some of the things that are going on in for 2023?
For sure. So one of our biggest goals in 2022, 2023, and as we move forward is to really bridge the gap between the buy side, the advertiser side, and the publisher side as well. Everyone in ad tech knows, all these intermediaries, and how can we bridge that gap between the two sides of spend. So one of the products that is new for us that we're most excited about is called Authentic Direct. And it really aims to solve this, one, bridge the gap between the buy side and sell side, but also kind of remove the black box that exists in direct campaign environments. So, an advertiser will use a quality vendor like DoubleVerify to ensure that their high value direct campaigns are served in the right environments, void of fraud, in a brand safe environment, and with the viewability thresholds that they're looking for. And we find that this is a very tedious process for publishers to keep on top of this, to make sure, on every single campaign, every single line item, that the advertiser specifications are being accounted for. So this Authentic Direct product, specifically for brand suitability, really takes the manual pieces of kind of finessing a line item or finding ways to meet all of the advertisers' keyword specifications, brand suitability, content category specifications, site and app lists. So we're really looking to automate that in a scalable fashion for our publishers.
So Reggie, I figure that resonates with you with 200 sites and all the things that you're doing. Can you talk to, again, from a publisher perspective, how you have to react to all of the brand safety, brand suitability requirements of your clients around your direct sold campaigns?
Yeah, sure. So we have a ton of pretty high profile clients that are currently working with DV. As you can imagine, a ton of restrictions based on things that are trending in the world. And we have to react very quickly to be able to kind of manage and maintain their expectations when it comes to brand suitability. DB has been a great partner in that. And, we really have invested not only in this Authentic Direct product, but working with DV as a whole to really monitor performance from a brand suitability, viewability, fraud, IVT, all of those different components and aspects.
Before you started working with Authentic Direct with this particular product, uh, let's just say again to your point, something in the world changes and something that was brand safe or brand suitable is no longer there, how did that work, right? You'd get kind of the request kind of coming in, or something would say something, and then you'd manually be having to check and look across all these lines, or even have an understanding of, like, yeah, please talk about like what that would be like.
Yeah, sure. Well, for us, prior to implementing ABS or Authentic Direct, the Arena Group had a very manual process for helping to maintain a high brand suitability score. And we wasted a ton of impressions, a ton of dollars that couldn't be monetized, or impressions that couldn't be monetized, excuse me. Our sites like Sports Illustrated or Parade.com were often flagged for terms that could sometimes be taken out of context. An example of that could be an article on a stat line of last night's basketball game, where a term "shot" or "stolen" could be integrated into the title or headline or the article in some fashion. And obviously, those terms are synonymous with things going on in the sports world, but can be viewed as negative as well, and oftentimes run against a block list with some of our clients. So for us, the process to kind of avoid these types of content conflicts was very labor intensive again. It led to us experimenting with multiple methods of identifying troublesome articles. And some of those tactics would be using exclusionary key values or leveraging IAB's class IDs, but those were never foolproof methods. So often, we put a lot of effort in and still saw a very high block rate. But now, as we're dealing more in the verification and brand suitable space or world, a number of our clients are measuring more and more brand safety. So that has led us down the path of looking into integrating with something like Authentic Direct.
Got it. Please, Alton.
And just piggybacking off of what Reggie says, the value prop here is to drastically reduce the amount of inventory waste. And that comes, as we all know, in a number of forms. So it can come in the form of a blocking tag, where you lose the opportunity to monetize that impression. It can come in the form of a make good. So, the impression served, the advertiser's upset about it, and you've hit a certain threshold of incident rate where they now start, calling for a make good. Another form this happens is in buffering. So a lot of publishers pre-campaign, if it's set to run for 1 million impressions, but they know there'll be a 10% incident rate, they'll set it to flight for 1.1 million impressions. And the fourth way is, even if there are no blocking tags or make goods, if you're consistently underperforming for an advertiser's quality metrics, probably they're gonna, place a magnifying glass on you, and potentially that spend won't be there in the future.
Well, that I think might be one of the interesting aspects of this, right? So again, DoubleVerify sits in this spot of working with both the buy side and the sell side to address brand safety, brand suitable issues, right? And what I'm hearing is that through, again, the way that you've created this particular product, there's some visibility, there's some transparency that's going to go on, that's going to lead to some new conversations, right? Like that to me is like, maybe, again, I'm not going to downplay it, and we will talk about like saving those impressions to be able to monetize. Like all of that is great, but there's an aspect of having conversation between both sides about how they view things. Reggie's example is a misunderstanding, right? Of using a term. They're just blanket terms that sometimes, again, out of context don't necessarily hit. But if you know that as a publisher, you're able to kind of talk to the buy side about that and make adjustments, and things get on track. Quality scores start to be, like something that they go up, right? Because the quality of everything that's kind of going on and so forth.
Yeah, this product, it's a relationship builder. So it's an advertiser sets up this profile with all of their brand suitability specifications. And because of our integration with the publisher and our code in their code base, we're able to classify that page instance pre-bid, see if it aligns with the profile that the advertiser set up. And then if it does, it's one key value in your ad server applied to the campaign. And then, you're basically creating this kind of golden pocket of inventory that's, fraud-free, brand safe, high viewability score. So when those advertisers come with those really high dollar CPMs, you're consistently delivering them quality inventory. And we know agencies, they don't shift their budget away if things are performing well. So you're setting yourself up for, years in the future of a good relationship and those very high valued CPMs.
I like that. So on the buy side, is there really there's no real change with this particular product? They work as they currently do and along the lines. And then for Reggie, what's involved on his side to start to see these signals? And Reggie, you could speak to that if you like. What do you see, Reggie?
Yeah, sure. In terms of the implementation.
Yeah, implementation, and then like, how do you see, how does this appear to you? How does this look?
Honestly, this is such an amazing opportunity to be able to not have to leverage too much of our dev and engineering team's time. The implementation on the back end was very straightforward, very maybe like a 2-week process, right? So very limited in terms of utilizing bandwidth from other team members, which is very important to us because we have 200 sites, right? So so the implementation from that side on the back end was something that could be done whether you're a large publisher with a large engineering team. If you're a small publisher with no engineering team, the DV team is there to help, and you can easily get through that. But when it comes to the day-to-day campaign management aspect, it takes your workload from trying to identify individual articles or categories or terms that may raise a red flag or cause some sort of incident, drops that immediately down to, like Holton said, applying one key value that on the back end all the work is done, where from an ad ops perspective it saves you a ton of time, saves you a ton of wasted impressions. So it has helped in more than one way.
You're checking some good boxes there, Reggie, in terms of what you're covering, right? Is, again, easy implementation, again, not using the other departments, and then saving time on that front. And Paul, maybe you could talk to this, right? You talked about kind of that buffer. Really, I love that phrase, that golden pocket, right? So if I'm winding up buffering, there's a number of reasons to buffer, right? But I think one of the things that, like, it, from a publisher perspective, for us to always just buffer 10%, it's just kind of conceding good impressions, right? And if you can narrow that down, take 10 to 5, right? Or anything along those lines, that's just other impressions that you're then going to monetize, that you're going to get paid for. Like, it's a way to sit there and actually just obviously just increase revenue, right? Without other types of pieces to that. So is that kind of like, am I kind of tracking correctly with that, Halton, in terms of that? Is there any other aspect that I'm kind of missing with that picture?
For sure, you hit the nail right on the head. So there's the short-term ROI that's easy to see. Wasted impressions that are not wasted anymore. What's the CPM on them? And we're saving you those. But then there's also the long-term ROI that I mentioned before, and it's if Arena Group is consistently delivering high-valued campaigns to their advertisers, they're going to have that spend for years to come.
Yeah, I like that. So let me ask you, in terms of any of the publishers that are listening to this, I guess I should be looking to see that I have, campaigns that are, DV enabled. What might be some of the thoughts there, Halton, in terms of conversations you're having with publishers about implementing this solution?
Yeah, so to start, I'd say every major publisher has at least a handful of DV campaigns running with advertisers. So that's where we like to start. If you have DoubleVerify campaigns with your direct advertising partners, this is a pretty turnkey setup. And then just teasing a little bit into 2023, our goal really is to look into, can we break this out of DoubleVerify's ecosystem? We're confident in our classification systems that perhaps we can match some of the specs for advertisers that are using other verification partners with this product. So teasing this now a little bit. Right now it's for DV campaigns only, but we're looking to affect kind of holistically
Well,
your
that's
direct
right. I
picture.
mean, again, where you sit in the evaluation pre-bid of all, like of all of the impressions or whatever, I would think you'd have some sense of. So that's actually pretty exciting that it could be that. Even if you're doing just a few DV, again, I'm kind of going in my head and processing this, right? So if I look and evaluate the amount of DV enabled campaigns I have currently running, I feel like there's almost a little bit of an equation you can do, right? That sits there and says, okay, if I'm going to be able to do this, then I'm going to wind up hitting those numbers. I'm going to be able to, again, get rid of that buffer. I'm going to be able to get this, deliver the quality impressions and so forth. The math becomes pretty easy to sit there and say, this is kind of a fit for us, right? And if you are trying to, again, navigate, depending on the type of site you have, you might have this issue more than others. This is an aspect, again, to kind of claw back some of those impressions to be able to monetize them in other ways, in other arenas.
Yeah,
Reggie,
the math is clear, and if you're a publisher, let's say this works really well for publishers who are more maybe news focused or pop culture focused, where you get dinged really hard on those brand suitability categories. So maybe a conservative advertiser like a big financial institution, they can feel safe running their campaigns on a news site or a pop culture site.
yeah, it's interesting, right? You just hit on something in my mind, which you mentioned earlier to kind of go back to, which is somewhat the speed of how things change, right? We're all like one headline away from something not, again, it's brand specific, right? But there could be something that kind of comes up that just is not where they need to be. Certainly in the entertainment industry and whatever, it just takes one headline and suddenly they've gone through and they want to make those changes, right? And Reggie, like again, in the past, it would be you wouldn't may not even know until they've made that change, and along the way, everything on your side is kind of altered. This kind of prevents that. Buyer makes that change comes through. It affects what the campaigns that are where it gets delivered, and then again, you get to see that, and then get to talk to that client and say, let's talk about this and so forth. So cool. I'm going to, I think in my mind, pretty straightforward. This is something again where you can kind of look and evaluate what you have currently running. This is, I think, a conversation starter, right? With your buyers. It also just provide them more quality inventory. And I think you already kind of hinted, Halton, that there's kind of more to come in terms of this tool and again what DoubleVerify is offering. So with that, Halton, if someone wants to learn more, what might they do? How do they get involved in talking to you about this? What's the best way to reach out?
For sure. So we're in a beta stage right now, but it is open at the moment. So we're looking for more publishers to come on board. Publishers at doubleverify.com. If you'd like to shoot an email there, we'll get you, we can get you set up in the right place. My email is halton.bagley@doubleverify.com. That's an option as well. But yeah, looking forward to hearing from you all.
Great. Reg, any final thoughts? Thank you for providing what you have. So you've done enough, my friend, but is there anything else in terms of any last thoughts?
I would just offer up that if anyone in the Beeler.Tech group wants to reach out to me from my perspective, publisher perspective, feel free to reach out. We've seen great results, but maybe there might be some other questions around the specifics of implementation. We didn't really talk about results too much, but we've seen campaigns with block rates of upwards of 30% drop to less than 5%. So, it's pretty significant. And I'm happy to kind of champion it from our side of things.
I appreciate that. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for the conversation. And thanks to everyone for watching. And we look forward to kind of keeping this conversation, especially as I think in the new year, brand safety, brand suitability conversations are going to continue to unfold, and we need to work on this. This sounds like something a definitely interesting consideration for everyone to make. So thank you.
Thanks, Reggie. Thanks, Rob.